You are listening to the Disney Dream Girls, an unofficial Disney Theme Packs podcast, and this is show number 597 for Sunday, the 31st of May, 2026.
Where dreams begin.
Hello and welcome to this week's Disney Dream Girls. My name is Michelle Young, and together with my jolly good chum Jayne Phipps, we are your guides to the place where dreams begin. Hello there, Jayne.
Hello there, Michelle, and welcome home.
Bienvenue à sunny Angleterre. A podcast to do anyway, and we'll talk about my trip in a little while.
Okay.
Because we have an On This Day in Disney history. And on this day in 2012, the first phase of Disney's Art of Animation Resort opened over at Walt Disney World Resort. The Value Resort ultimately would have 1,120 family suites and 864 standard rooms. Have you ever stayed there, Jayne?
I have not stayed at the Art of Animation. I have walked around the resort and I have explored, but I have not stayed. You, Michelle?
I've stayed in the Little Mermaid room.
Oh,
and
okay.
I think this was in 2013, so it was just after it literally opened.
Oh, wow.
It's very much of a likeness in the room as you would expect for a value resort. It was comfortable. For me personally, going with a friend or going with the husband, I would prefer Pop Century. The food court is nicer, but if you're at Pop Century, you can always walk across because it's not that far.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think it's obviously set up because the majority of the rooms over there are suites, so that it is designed for those groups of you, that a family group over four, really, isn't it? But like you say, it's not that far to walk if you prefer the food over there to Pop. It's just across the bridge and you're there, and it's easy peasy to get between the two resorts. And they've both got the same benefit, the Skyliner as well, so...
And if you have a larger family group or friendship group who want a bigger room, want together, it offers really cute themed rooms.
It does. Very nicely landscaped though. I did like wandering around and exploring the outside theming of each of the areas. I think it's done really, really well.
And another really important opening in 2019 is Disneyland Star Wars Galaxy Edge, open to the public for the very first time.
Wow.
And as we've talked about the show before, it's had a little bit of a change in timeline characters in those 7 years of operation. Can you believe it's 7 years?
I know it has flown by, hasn't it? Really, and it's nice. I'm personally very happy that they're changing the timeline in it. I think it will appeal to a much broader range of Disney fans as well as Star Wars fans. So I'm just kind of my fingers are all crossed. I'm just waiting for the announcement that they're going to do the same to East Coast. You kind of need it over at Disney World, don't we? I think that needs the same treatment, personally, is how I would view it.
Let's hope guest feedback to Disney is really positive and they decide to go ahead with this. Okay, so that's basically it for On This Day in Disney history. We have got some cruise line news.
Yeah.
Jayne, I gather there's a change in the alcohol policy about what you can and cannot bring on board.
Yeah, and as I have a cruise upcoming, and you yourself, Michelle, have a cruise upcoming, and anybody else out there, you will have all received the email from Disney Cruise Line. They have reduced the wine or the beers that you can take on board. Now it is a maximum of 1 bottle of unopened wine or champagne, no larger than 750 millilitres, or 6 beers, no larger than 12 ounces, on board at the beginning of your voyage. Obviously age limits apply as they would do anyway. Still, you have to have them in your carry-on, not your check bags, which has always been the same. It does say that liquors, spirits or wine and beer purchased in ports of call will be stored until the end of the cruise. So that's an interesting slight change. Guests must retrieve stored alcohol at the end of the cruise. Items not retrieved will be discarded and no compensation will be offered. They've also amended the corking fee. I don't know what the corking fee was before, but now they're saying it's $20 if you take your bottle of wine or champers down to the dining room.
Little point I noticed, it mentioned that if you were departing from Singapore, guests must be 18 years of age and older to consume or bring alcoholic beverages. For all other cruises, guests must be 21 years of age. I'm just thinking about the European cruises, because in the UK, you can drink at the age of 18.
Yeah, I must admit, I did spot that as well, and I thought, yeah, that's why have they not included Europe in that little bit?
Another thing that has changed as well is Disney have clarified their door decorating policy. I love walking down the corridors and seeing these beautiful displays. However, they are getting to include not just the door, but the ceiling, the walls either side, and they are becoming a little bit of an obstacle for people traversing. They are becoming a fire hazard. So Disney haven't outright banned them. They have just said, keep it to your door. We're happy if you put it on your door. It'll look amazing on your door. Just don't go mad.
It's just being courtesy to other travellers around you, isn't it? And not going OTT with it all.
And then the last thing is to do specifically at the moment with the Disney Adventure, because they're going to be implementing a $5 service charge for room service orders. And then in addition, there's an 18% auto gratuity added. Now, this does not include your breakfast that you put on the little hanger.
No.
And concierge guests will be excluded from the charge. But it's quite interesting to me. Is this a trial? Is it because it's slightly different on that ship? Is it because there's an increased demand on that ship? How are they going to work out the 18% auto gratuity without knowing the cost price of the items, unless it's specified on the menu as you are ordering? It's going to be interesting, and it basically starts next week. So it's not being phased in slowly.
No, and obviously it's a brand new ship, and it's obviously operating in a different area of the world to what Disney have been operating in before. And it's different in that there's no port stops. So, and it's a bigger ship. I do get the impression from various different bits I've seen, people are a bit Marmite with it. You know, they're either liking it or they're not liking it. And obviously they've had a few technical difficulties with it recently. One cruise, people were cancelled because they were actually on the ship and they couldn't physically get the ship out of port because of technical difficulties. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this one plays out and whether this is just going to be local to this particular ship, or whether it, like you say, Michelle, I hope to goodness it's not going to be a case of spreading it throughout the fleet.
I do know from travelling on other cruise lines that they do have a setup charge. So like with Princess Cruises, if you want to utilise the room service, you have to pay a setup charge. You know, so maybe they're just trialling it on this ship. It could be because this itinerary from Singapore doesn't have any ports, and maybe the demand is so high they're doing something as maybe a deterrent. You know, maybe just people are just using it to get 2 Mickey bars. Well, maybe they might not bother. Wait and see.
Yeah.
So that's it for this segment of the show. Shall we go on for a little bit of a trip report?
Oh, go on then, Michelle. Let's hear about what you've been up to.
Where dreams begin.
I think I'm going to talk about first is the hotel. I'm going to preface this complete 100% transparency. Myself and Jayne do not approach Disney for anything.
No.
We pay out of pocket.
We do.
Because we want to be able to say, this is our experience. Nothing of this has been gifted to us. We paid for it out of our own hard-earned pockets, out of our wage. Nothing was pixie dusted because I went to the front desk and said, do you not know I'm a podcaster? None of that. I don't do that. That is not us. It's not our ethos.
No.
Would I love Disney to listen to some of our ideas? Absolutely. And if Disney ever would like to complimentary do anything, absolutely. I would not say no. I'm sure nobody else would say no. But I would review it in a slightly different manner to as if I am paying for it. And I think that is only fair too.
Yeah.
I booked the trip. and we were going to go by car. Would I go by car again? Probably not. It killed me. It was horrible. I'm over-exaggerating a little bit. The journey there wasn't so bad because you're full of excitement and everything's happy and the weather wasn't over 30 degrees and the traffic wasn't at a standstill. I think the journey back was particularly challenging because of the high heat and the traffic on the roads. It took a very long time for me to get home. So I think in future trips, I probably wouldn't choose to drive again. But for this trip, because of my current medical needs, I could not fly on this trip. I had to do it by car because there was a lot of things that I needed to take that I couldn't do if I was flying. When you are driving, you have the ability to stop and start your journey as and when you choose.
Yeah.
It wasn't down to a cost issue either, because when I worked out how much fuel money I spent, the hotels the night before, etc., it probably cost us a lot more money to drive, but it was because of our convenience level we did it.
Yes.
So when we were looking for a hotel, we knew we wanted to stay at a Disney hotel for that extra feeling of being in the Disney bubble.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
I am very, very lucky. I have stayed at Hotel Marvel before, which was amazing. To me, a deluxe level hotel, beautiful facilities, amenities, etc. Very close to the park, brilliant. I've also stayed at the Sequoia Lodge before and enjoyed it.
Okay.
We got to the Sequoia at round about 11 a.m. on the Sunday, and we knew our room wouldn't be ready. But how things work in Paris is you go to the hotel, you basically check in, and they will give you your park passes. So we left everything in the car and went into the lobby. Every single bag you take into a Disney hotel at Disneyland Paris goes through a security X-ray machine like you have at the airports.
Yeah.
And I think it gives you that extra layer of feeling safe. We'd done that bit. We went to check in. Very straightforward procedure. Got our park tickets and we were then free to go into the park. The beauty of being at Sequoia, it's a little walk and you're in Disney Village in about 10 minutes and at the park in about 15, dependent on how quick you walk.
Yeah.
There are bus shuttles going from Sequoia. I never used one because in my mind, by the time you've waited for a bus, got on the bus and walked from the bus stop, you might as well have just walked in the first place.
Yeah, and I would echo that. That's exactly what we've done when we've stayed at the Sequoia before.
The only disadvantage is, for me, taking a young child that intermittently was using the pushchair, that to get to the level to walk to the parks, there's a set of stairs. So I either had to walk with Joseph holding my hand and carrying the buggy, or use the lift. The lift is incredibly small. It could fit one buggy and 2 adults in. That was it.
Right, okay, got you.
So for me, with people turning up with double buggies and multiple people wanting to use that lift, whether in wheelchairs or whatever, that lift got quite a line at certain times of the day.
Yeah, I can imagine actually, yeah.
And I felt that it was quite problematic.
Yeah.
And if you have any mobility issues where stairs are a problem to you, then this is something I feel that Disney needs to address and consider, that one lift, a small lift, is not really sufficient for a hotel that they would sort of say is a moderate pricing hotel.
Yeah, and they're selling it you on the convenience of, it's located on the little bit of a lake, and it's, I just said it's a very easy walking distance to the park.
We went into the park, and I'm, as I said, going to talk about the park experience later. The man at the front desk said they would message us and let us know when our room was going to be ready. It would also show up on the Disneyland Paris app.
Oh,
Our
nice.
lovely friends Kat and Lewis, when they were there a few weeks before, had an issue. Their room wasn't ready till after 5 p.m.
That's a bit late, really.
Yeah, so I was sort of hoping that, 3 o'clock, 3 o'clock. Anyway, spot on 3 o'clock, I got a message saying the room was ready. So we decided to finish what we were doing. We'd gone into the park for a little pootle, got something to eat, and we went back.
Okay.
The Sequoia currently is under refurbishment.
Yes.
Part of the grounds are cut off.
Okay.
But we didn't feel massively inconvenienced.
Good.
What was a challenge was getting everything from the car to the hotel.
Right.
Admittedly, as a car driver, I could have driven to the lobby, parked up, emptied the car, and then drove the car back. Could have done that. Chose to make it as hard as physically possible for me and park the car under a big sequoia and leave it in the shade, and then cart everything by hand into the hotel, through the hotel security, x-ray machine, and then to our room. Now, luckily, we had got what they class as the first floor, which technically was the ground floor.
Yes, because it's different, yeah.
So it was great. We didn't have to go into the lift of death. And we basically walked down a lovely corridor, very reminiscent of The Shining, if you know what I mean. Is this never-ending corridor? I will be quite honest, the corridors aged the hotel. It's 34 years old, and boy, does it look like it's seen some parties.
Yeah, of course it is. Yeah, you forget how old it is. Yeah, wow.
Yeah. What did make me laugh, and I have seen this quite a few happening in hotels, there is a robotic vacuum cleaner. So they don't employ people anymore to hoover the corridors. They let the robot do it.
I've seen that in quite a few hotels, actually, not the Disney ones, but yeah, elsewhere.
Yeah. The wallpaper is a reminiscent of a forest with the top border having Disney characters. It's very much influenced by Bambi.
Yes, yeah, yeah.
So we got to our room, a standard room. It had a bathroom area which was carpeted by the sink. Now, for me, a carpet in a sink area is a bit ooh. It's probably something English families would have probably had carpet in their bathrooms up to the mid-80s until somebody had this big idea thinking, oh, it's not really hygienic, is it?
Yeah, I think I remember growing up with carpet, yeah.
It showed its age with that. There was a single basin, a big mirror, a wall-mounted hairdryer, which again was 34 years old. And to be honest, when I pressed the click on button, it sounded a little bit like an asthmatic. So it wasn't the greatest. Luckily, I'd got my own. There was a safe, which you could reset and put your own code into, a low-level bench that I was able to put my case on and hang things above in the open plan wardrobe. Then to the side, there was a bath, which was an incredibly high bath to step into the shower, which was quite problematic with a 5-year-old. I had to physically lift him into it because it was quite high for him to climb. And there was my nemesis.
Your nemesis?
Something Michelle says to her lovely travel agent, Christine, sir, all the time, please don't book me a hotel room with a curtain over the shower.
Yeah.
I just
nasty
hate them.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you.
Again, it's 34 years old. Probably all the rage back then, but now we like those 0-level entry walk-in showers. We didn't have that. There was a toilet in the room, and it made it quite challenging with traveling with a young child and a friend, because if one of us wanted the toilet and the other was in the shower, we had to wait.
Yes.
Most of your moderates over in Walt Disney World, your toilet and your shower are separate, like they are on the cruise line.
Yeah, so you've got that flexibility, yeah.
Yeah. The decor was very, very tired. In the main room, we had 2 queen-size beds, very comfy. It just looked tired.
Tired, yeah.
The beds were comfortable. There was a tall standard lamp with a lampshade, the traditional sort of like net curtain, and then the curtains on a curtain pole with wooden hooks. So it's just like my mum's living room back in the 80s. One thing that I did enjoy in the room, there was a coffee maker as well as a kettle, and I do feel that was a nice touch to have them both. Every day the coffee pods, the tea and coffee, the milk jiggers were replenished. Good. So there was never a problem. There are no china cups in the room or teaspoons. Each day we got one single wooden stirrer, and we had 2 little espresso cups and 2 larger coffee cups that were disposable.
Right, yeah.
No lids.
Yeah, this seems to be the way, actually. I think this is all like post-COVID, isn't it? Gone are the days of a proper cup, etc.
Which I knew about before going because I'd done my research. I just felt the lack of the lid when I was making a cup of tea. And again, I'm thinking with a different mindset now. I'm thinking as a grandma with a 5-year-old. Yeah. I've made myself a hot cup of coffee. I can't put a lid on it because it then made it mute. I didn't use them. I had taken my own cup with a lid because of safety, because I knew what I was anticipating.
Yeah, it's a shame that.
There was a table with 2 chairs, which was lovely. And on check-in, we had 2 bottles of water, and every day they left an extra bottle of water. Okay. Not a bottle we could take to the park because it was glass, but it was handy to have in the room.
Okay.
Now, the coffee maker and kettle was on this little stand on the main dressing room sort of table, and it had 1 socket. So if you wanted to change it from the kettle being plugged in to the coffee maker, you had to pull the unit out and fiddle in this really difficult tight space to put the plug in. And I tried a couple of times to use my European plug to charge my phone in. It just didn't. It was just very difficult. There was a desktop charger, and it was a very weird machine. You could put your phone on top of it and it would charge it, and then it had 2 ports underneath, a standard USB and the little one that I use for my modern iPhone, and then it had 2 sockets on either side. But whenever you tried to put in a European socket, it had broke, so you couldn't put extra sockets on either side if you had like a fan to charge up or something else, like your battery pack.
Yes, yeah.
And that was it for sockets. So I either had to go behind the table, moving the chairs, crawl on the floor to find another 1 single socket that this tall standard lamp was on, pull out the plug and put my charging equipment there. But again, it was only 1 socket. I'll go all the way to the door where there was a socket, obviously for the housekeeping team, to plug it in there. That was it for sockets. There was nothing by the bed.
I think this is a sign of when it was when it was built and when it was probably last even touched for renovation, wasn't it? Hence why, what's happening to it now?
I appreciated the fact they'd thought about that and put this block on the dressing table.
Yeah,
however,
extra,
it was a shame mine was broken. The room temperature, bearing in mind it was 30 degrees outside, was cool enough for us.
Oh, okay.
The aircon was not the greatest. It wasn't a blast chiller, if you know what I mean, but it was sufficient.
Right.
The beds were very, very comfy, despite being quite old. I didn't have a problem with going to sleep on them in any shape or form. The lighting in the room was nice. There was some nice little touches to Bambi. Another negative, though, was the towels.
Ooh, not good quality?
They were like sandpaper, Jayne.
Ooh, that's not nice.
And having just stayed at Travel Lodge in Ashford, where I'd had a big bath sheet that I could wrap round me and felt soft and comforting, I couldn't wrap this bath sheet round me because it was only a bath towel. So I think even someone much petiter than me, even yourself, would not have been able to get this towel. No. And it literally felt like I was scrubbing myself with sandpaper.
Oh, that's not what you want, is it?
So if I was to compare this hotel to somewhere like Pop Century, I would rate the convenience, the comfort of Pop Century much higher than Sequoia Lodge.
Which is interesting because therefore you're actually comparing what I would call a moderate in Sequoia to a value of Pop Century.
Yeah. You know, we all complain in Pop Century that there's no longer a fridge. It's a beverage cooler. There was nothing in Paris. I will say we had housekeeping every day.
Ah, that's interesting.
If they can do that in Paris, they should be able to do it in Walt Disney World.
Absolutely.
They came in, they emptied the bins, sorted the towels, refreshed the coffee making equipment, made the beds, changed the sheets once as well, and we're only there 3 nights.
Nice.
I felt that was really good, and I appreciate when I've seen it on people's posts online that they're saying, oh well, I don't think we need to have rooms being made every day. Well, I actually do like that. I like the fact that somebody will come in.
Yeah, but I think also, as we've said, Michelle, you have lower end chain hotels like, I'll quote Travelodge yet again, that do that, or at least they give you that thing of, you know, there's normally something to put on your door to say, please make up my room, or please don't, type of thing, to give you the option. But when it's kind of a standard that every day somebody comes in, has a little fertile around, make sure everywhere's neat and tidy, and swaps your towels, like you say, empty bins, that's all you kind of like looking for, isn't it, to actually happen. You know, I'm not expecting changing sheets or anything like that. But yeah, just a bit of a tidy. And I mean, I tend to keep our room whenever we go anywhere, regardless of the level of hotel room.
As to the facilities in the hotel we didn't use, there are places to eat, 2 table service restaurants. There is a small gift shop. There is a quick serve type bar where you can grab and go with a beer or a beverage of your choice. There is a really nice lounge you can go to. Again, didn't use any of those facilities. There's an outdoor pool and a gym there that you can use. Again, I didn't use any of those facilities. Every morning, characters will come and meet at the hotel in a dedicated area. We didn't partake in that. They have at the front desk or at concierge your standard array of buttons. However, it literally felt like I had to show my passport to prove the desire of wanting a birthday button. So it was very much the ungenerous feel to it all. And it did feel to me that the cast members were not as magical as you would get in America in the hotel themselves. I did try my best at my franglais, and where I did do that, it seemed to be a lot more appreciated.
Okay.
So if you are going to Disneyland Paris, I highly recommend you just learn a few basic little phrases, and it will get you a long way. The last thing I will mention about the resort, and again, I've got a different filter on because I was going as a grandparent rather than a single traveller, is that, oh my God, the doors, Jayne. The doors.
Heavy.
Oh God, I felt like I had to be a weightlifter to open them. As you are exiting the buildings, you have to push the doors open. None of the doors seem to open sesame to get out from the actual hotel to the outside.
Yeah.
So if you're there with a buggy, you have to turn around, go out backwards, and normally you'll just have someone who just runs in front of you, and he's like, I opened the door myself and struggled with the buggy, and you just ran past me. Yeah, that was a real bugbear, because we know from Florida a lot of the doors are either propped open, kept open, or they have the open sesame moment where as you approach, they open.
Yes, you got that automatic element.
Even when Joseph was walking with us, we found pushing the doors really, really challenging because they are so heavy. So that would be another negative. And that wasn't just at the hotel, that was throughout all of the shops, etc. We found that a real challenge.
Ah, okay.
So would I recommend anybody to stay at the Sequoia Lodge? At this moment, unless you could guarantee getting a refurbished room, I would probably say no, because the comfort level is there, but everything just looks very old and very tired.
Yeah.
If you can splurge a little bit more money, I would go to Hotel Marvel because it is the newest. Or I would save your money, not go in a Disney hotel, and go in one of the many, 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 many hotels in the surrounding area that either are a Disney friendly partner hotel, which will guarantee the shuttle service, or even going one stop on the train to go down the road to Val d'Europe and stay there and save a shed load and get a nicer room. If you've heard our friends from Dis Down Under talk about the room that they had, which was off-site, that it was cleaner, comfier, newer, fresher than Newport Bay, then that says a great deal about it, because Newport Bay, again, is another hotel right on the lakeside, beautiful, but in need of that little bit of TLC.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see with Disneyland Paris. Obviously, they're putting the money into the parks, which we know is much needed. And we know they've been doing the revamp to the Disney Village as well. Is it going to be a case of those hotels are next?
Well, we shall see. That's my recommendation. I will be back next week talking a little bit more with regards to the attractions, the merchandise and the food, because I've got a lot to say about that. I think I have just about recovered from the torment of 6 rides in a row from Rapunzel's spin. I don't think Joseph has recovered yet from riding Tower of Terror and Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. He was a slight bit traumatised.
Oh, bless him.
I said all along that if he was fine getting into the ride vehicle, we would ride. And he was. It was only when the vehicle got going, he got a little bit traumatised. Well, would I recommend going with a child to Disneyland Paris? Absolutely. Definitely. Absolutely. It brought so much joy to my face seeing how happy he was and seeing how many things he could do was amazing. The fact that he could go on Autopia and drive the car, it was amazing. Absolutely. But perhaps I would have taken him when the weather was going to be a little bit cooler.
Yeah, can't predict that though. That's one bit of research you can't do. Not over in the Europe anyway.
Anyway, lovelies, we are going to put a pin in it this week. If you want to see a little bit more, I'll be sharing more on Instagram at Dis Dream Girls with regards to some compilations and some reels and posts with regards to some of the beautiful scenery that you can see around the attractions, in the attractions, etc. We'll be back next week where I will talk more about the amazing finale that you get in Disney's Adventure World, about the food, about the lounge, about the ride experience, about Disneyland Park, what's going on there, about characters, about parades, the whole shebang. But until next week, it's a goodbye from me.
It's bye from me.